Okay, so now I'm going to sing Catchapedia and then you sing Catchapedia.
Okay.
Catchapedia.
You want to do it again?
Catchapedia. Catchapedia.
Ooh, I like that
nice.
one.
Okay, one more time.
All right, I'm going to try it again. Okay.
Catchapedia Words for Writers podcast and Catchapedia Poetry Radio is a program by Flying Ketchup Press in Kansas City, Missouri to develop new and diverse voices. Our dream is to salvage lost treasure troves of written and illustrated work, to create worlds of wonder and delight, to share your story. Find us at www.flyingketchuppress.com.
Hello, this is Polly Alice McCann, Managing Editor of Flying Ketchup Press, and we are so excited to be here today to have word power.
Woo.
I'm here with Houtwed.
Hello.
And we are going to discuss a really cool word. What's our word of the day?
Our word is voice.
Voice. I don't know. What's that?
Voice is, as defined here in our handy-dandy document, expressed will or desire, the attitude characters express in their style of speech.
Oh, the attitude of the characters? That's not voice. Your voice is the writer's voice. To me, a voice is what editors say they're always looking for. If something has good voice, then it can go anywhere. It can be edited to be the best for everyone.
Right.
And they want a unique and powerful voice.
So this on Google, it says, voice refers to the rhetorical mixture of vocabulary, tone, point of view, and syntax that makes phrases, sentences, and paragraphs flow in a particular manner.
So syntax, what?
Vocabulary. So like word choice, like the certain words that you choose.
So basically
tone.
Writing.
Yeah.
It's writing.
Basically, yeah.
Writing that does something in paragraphs?
And tone, so like how the words come across.
Okay.
Point of view, obviously. And then syntax, which is what we were just talking about.
That's like saying good cooking is made up of carbs, proteins, and spices, and fats.
Good cooking is made up of cheese.
I mean, that's not a good definition. Good cooking should have cheese.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, I think voice is kind of like cheese.
What?
It makes everything, all the writing good.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you have to have a voice. If you're writing, it's just like every other, you know.
So you got to be salty and sour and sharp.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Well, you can be anything you want as long as it's unique to you.
Okay.
So like, sometimes people have very casual tones. I really love casual tones personally, but then there's other kinds that are like really sharp and really.
Well, some people write kind of understated, so kind of in a humorous way on purpose.
Yeah.
My kids love that. I can't do it. I always exaggerate. I'm an exaggerator, not an understater.
Yeah.
But what else makes voice? But what kind of tones would there be in a voice?
Well, I mean, you can have any kind of tone. You could have like angry tones or happy tones or frustrated and like literally any feeling. You can convey it through the voice, the way that you're writing. It just depends. Again, it depends on what vocabulary you use, what word choice that you use.
I don't think it's word choice. I think it's
syntax.
I think what they mean by syntax is, okay, here's what I think. If you're going to have good voice, it means you've arranged your words in such an order that the reader never notices them and is only thinking about what you're saying and their relationship to you as they're kind of receiving what you have to say. And also, they feel like you're dialoguing with them and understanding them, even though they are just reading and they haven't said anything.
Okay.
Like you're taking the words right out of their mouth.
Right. No, I understand this. It's kind of like when you're reading, and not everybody does this, but when you're reading and your eyes kind of blur out because you're like taken to this other world, It's like you're not actually reading the specific words, you're just getting the feeling, the emotion from them.
Yeah, the emotion.
That like the author intended.
And they'll say, this writer really gets me.
Right.
Or I feel really listened to. So making the reader feel like you've been listening to them when you're the one putting words on a page and you've never met them and have no idea who they are. Like, that's magical.
Right.
That's why people can't explain what it is, but it's just good writing. And so there's lots of ways to be conscientious with your reader, to let them feel valued and understood. And one of those ways is white space.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is white space.
Do you think you could explain that a little bit?
Yeah. We're talking about like white space in the writing, right? Not like white space in the actual story, right?
There's lots of white space.
I think it's right. White space in the writing, because that's just like a whole nother.
Okay.
But white space in the writing is where you have like a drop off so that there's kind of suspense. Like,
okay. Yeah, like the chapter turn?
It doesn't have to be. No. It
Oh.
can just be kind of like if you're writing a really intense scene and then you have like a couple spaces of white space and then it goes back to like if those two characters were in like a fight and then it jumps forward, but then it kind of melts back into what
So
was
it's
happening.
the stuff that you don't say.
Exactly.
The white space is the stuff you don't write and that you don't say that makes the reader feel listened to.
Yeah. Because
Which makes good voice.
right.
And that means that somehow the reader feels like you let them dialogue and that you took the words right out of their mouth when you didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
So good voice comes from not writing.
Yeah. It's very complex for
Uh-huh.
sure.
And it just means you know when to stop. So that has to do with showing that telling.
Not over explaining. And
Yeah,
that's what
not
you
over
can use.
explaining.
You can use white space for if you feel like you're getting too over explainy.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of cut it off and take it back a couple notches.
Yeah. Like the other day I was editing something and someone wrote, they added just one sentence extra, like, you know, about how the character was feeling or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no. Or asking a question. Maybe the character was wondering, does Russell really like me? Or something like that. And I said, no. This sentence, everything is perfect here except this sentence. Take this out. Leave more white space because that's the question the reader is asking. The reader is going to be saying, oh my gosh, does Russell really like her or not?
Yeah.
What is this girl doing?
Right.
And you have to give them an empty moment to think that and say it. If you say it for them, then they're just like, man, this person's, they just don't understand why they don't feel attached to the story.
Right. Because everything is over explained and you have to use
Everything's done for them.
show, don't tell.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So that's one way of good voice, is not saying too much,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. And other people say good voice comes from the most important thing to me about writing is that it's personal.
Mm-hmm.
And a way to make something personal is by adding little bits of your real life into that character, that the speech, the objects, the setting, adding little pieces of reality that are personally, emotionally personal to you.
Grounds the writing, like humanizes it.
Yeah, like when I was a kid, for example, I rode on the back of an elephant with my grandfather.
Mm.
I think my dad and my brother, maybe a few other people, were on this elephant. It was so long you could fit like 6 or 7 people. Now nowadays they don't do that anymore because it's not nice to the elephants.
Right, yeah.
But I remember getting on that elephant and how it felt. So if I need to write a scene about riding a large creature, I'm going to be able to draw on that experience. And I remember also riding a camel, you know, and how thrilling that was. So, yeah, so I might not put the same animal and it might not be me, but I'm going to draw on that personal thrill to, you know.
But how would your reader know that?
They'll never know.
But what if, well,
Like, it might be somebody riding a dragon or...
how would that personalize it though? Like, how would you make that?
Because I
personalize?
meditate on that moment and could put myself back in that moment and think really hard about the sensations and the emotions and try to use those, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But also if it's like just a regular relationship, like with a parent in a story, you know, maybe drawing on some real life there. It's not just writing what you know.
Right.
But
You have to do research.
a lot of times people are trying to make their characters, they think they're doing us a favor by making them bland.
Right.
They don't
Yeah,
think
I
they're
know.
being bland. They think they're being universal. Like, let's call them Sam. Let's not mention what color skin they have or eyes, and let's just not. Do we have to even say what gender they are or how they feel about their their bodies or if they like their parents or not. And let's just keep all that out of it and let's just make it neutral because then more people will identify. That's wrong.
Honestly, like that's how I used to write.
Yes, that's how we all feel like we should write.
Well, and then I went to college and my teacher was like, my one teacher at the very first day of class said the word relatable is forbidden in this classroom.
I've never used that word.
And because you're not writing to be relatable. You want to create an experience, but it's not to like relate to everyone. That's why you don't want like bland or personality-less characters. Like you want flavor and color and vibrance, like because otherwise it's just, what are you writing for?
Yeah. So it has to be based on some part of something you've lived, and that's just going to make it seem more real. And so if you try to hide from your past experiences and you don't want to, talk about that, your story's not going to have good voice, because what the good voice comes from your confidence of accepting your personal self and then putting little pieces of it into a million other little characters and places.
And that's what gives you your writing style and makes your writing unique and your voice unique. That's
right. So you just have to love yourself.
Yeah, that's very difficult.
and your reader.
Yeah.
I spend all my time with my English 101 students, teaching them that they have a reader. They just didn't know it. I'll be like, your reader could be, like imagine where this document could end up. Yes, it's only a college essay, but it could end up in a paper I write, or you could accidentally fall out of your bag and it could end up on the subway and somebody picks it up, or I hand it to my niece who's 10 years younger than you. Or another student walks in and picks it up off the desk, and he's 30 years older than you and from another country, and he speaks English as a second language. All these people are your readers, and so you have to write in such a way that you're not totally dull to the people who know everything you're about to say, and you're not totally opaque to the people who have no idea what you're talking about. They haven't studied that history. They don't know.
It's a fine line.
Yeah. And sometimes in voice, the writer is saying things like we all the time. We think this. And they never tell us who they are, so we don't know who we is. So I'm always trying to get them anyway. Professors just go on and on. But I think they know what voice is now.
Yeah.
So you love yourself. You love your reader. You don't hold back. But you do hold back a lot and leave white space.
Yes, use white space.
And you personalize it.
And show, don't tell.
And show, don't tell.
Yeah.
There you go. Now you know everything we know.
Ketchupedia is brought to you by Flying Ketchup Press. What began as a collection of words for writers is now a springboard for classes, podcasts, and radio, one word at a time. Ketchupedia's name, logo, jingle, and concept were created with help from students from Kansas City Art Institute and Greenville University's Experience First capstone class, and inspired by our friends at Steele's Used Books. Join us every week on Sundays at 6 o'clock Central on One Kansas City Radio, KONN 100.1 FM, or wherever you get your podcasts.